Manny, as much as him and Jeffree are not friends anymore, I think that Manny's stuff is still sold through Killer Merch, because here's the deal. Now, he's not listed on the homepage as a partner, neither is James anymore, but if you go on Manny's own merch site in the FAQ, it talks about Killer Merch. So I just saw that Jeffree Star went on Snapchat and did a whole thing about James Charles, and I'm not going to go through all that, but what I am going to talk about is the fact that he said that he knows that James is very married. He knows that James is very angry. Now, that made me think about something that I've been thinking about for a while. This whole Killer Merch thing, I know it just came out like this week, last week, I'm not sure. That's something that I looked at like a week prior when all this started happening. And I was wondering if maybe Jeffree didn't kick James off of Killer Merch. Maybe James quit Killer Merch. And maybe that is where the rift between the two of them came from. Because, you know, Jeffree is a very business-minded person, but he also takes his business very personally. So James is just doing this Australian pop-up shop. James is doing the tour. Maybe James wanted to take his merch away from Killer Merch, which is a company that Jeffree doesn't own but has a partnership in, as far as I understand from the Shane Dawson video. One thing that Killer Merch does, it's not just a fulfillment company. They don't just make the shirts and send them out. They actually do pop-up shops if you look on their website. And I don't know if they were responsible for the one in Australia or not. It would seem to me that if they were, they would have been a little bit more helpful, because that pop-up shop, from all the footage that we've seen, was a failure. Maybe James was trying to get his merch away from Killer Merch, and maybe that's where the rift came from. I'm just theorizing here. We're just doing little speculation. I am the first person on the internet, or well, I don't know the first person, but I'm the first person I know of on YouTube to post about their friendship being over. Manny, as much as him and Jeffree are not friends anymore, I think that Manny's stuff is still sold through Killer Merch, because here's the deal. Now, he's not listed on the homepage as a partner, neither is James anymore, but if you go on Manny's own merch site in the FAQ, it talks about Killer Merch. So either he's still fulfilled or something through Killer Merch, or he just hasn't updated his website. Also, I just really question how the contract between James and Jeffree was dissolved so quickly. It seems to me it either would have had to have been dissolved by mutual agreement or by some sort of cancellation clause in the contract. Again, I'm not a lawyer and obviously haven't seen their contract, and again, I'm just speculating, but it is something that has caught my attention. As always, leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with my theory? Do you disagree? Or do you have a theory of your own? I don't know. It's just interesting the way everything's timing out. I still feel like we're all, in a way, not being punked, but we're all having our minds driven in certain directions, this way, that way, this way, that way. I'm going to do another video about Gabriel, Zamora, and Nikita being the worst friends in the world. But I do just feel very like someone is pulling the strings. I'm not saying it's entirely scripted, but there's like a plot. It's got plot. I feel like it's a movie that's evolving on social media. And it's like a, you know, like in the old days when your grandparents were young and they would go to the movie theater and there'd be like a serial, like every week there'd be a new episode of whatever superhero story it was, Superman. And that's what it's like. It's like every day we tune in for the next chapter. We tune in to YouTube for the next chapter, Who knows? Maybe YouTube is behind all of this to drive the views up on YouTube.